This is the Produce Reporter Week in Review. Greg, got a change of scenery there.
I am at the big HQ where it's even colder than Kansas City.
You know what? Hey, it snowed here this week, but unfortunately, Austin, Texas got only a piffle of grapple, like the little snowballs. So it was not very fun, except for the kids were out of school on Tuesday. I'm jealous of Houston and New Orleans, and even my sister's house in Destin, Florida, got 9 inches of snow. Uh, Absurdities.
That's fair. I bet it doesn't stick on the ground for very long.
I was there. My niece said there was two inches left after the first day.
Okay.
But there were people out there doing some redneck stuff in the snow, and you gotta love it because normally when it snows somewhere like here or Houston or something like that, we get an inch or two of ice, and you have this just listening to the trees crack and break, and everyone's pipes are freezing, and it's a nightmare scenario. This was just like a Midwest fun snow day. Making some snowmen out there trying to sled on anything sleddable. I saw some videos of people sledding in Costco boxes. Yeah, you know, gotta do what you can with what you've got. So a little bit interesting, and I'm sure that our next Produce IQ analysis that we get on Monday will talk about the potential market implications of what's going on with the weather, because I'm sure it's probably going to put a snag on some of the crops coming out of Florida. If we're looking, I mean, most of the stuff's in Central Florida and South, but when the entire northern part of the state is snowed out, I'm sure that that had some logistical issues.
There will be
Uh,
some consequences for sure. And this is in the lead up to the most American of holidays, which is only 2 weeks away.
it's only 2 weeks away. Checking. We're gonna wait and see if we got some friendship bracelets. For-
We're not going to jinx anything, but someone's favorite team is going through a three-peat. So
Hopefully.
let's not jinx it. We'll see.
So we had an interesting, speaking of Super Bowl, interesting news week. A couple of weeks ago, you wrote about from a Mark on report talking about they're looking at, avocado supplies aren't exactly, robust, which is what we need them to be this time of year. And then Marco Campos, our internal guy, um, is said we're seeing USC's decline in Mexico avocado imports for the holiday season. So it's kind of a review of what we're looking at. Then I'm looking around and I saw APAM is showing that we're just lagging a little bit behind last year as far as avocado imports. So prices may be a little higher on that bull of guac
I think
than
we should expect that. Yeah, we will definitely have more stories in the 2 week lead up to the biggest avocado holiday, which is the Super Bowl, which marketers cannot say is the Super Bowl. They call it the big game. But in the news business, we can use its proper title. So
yeah.
it is Super Bowl. Yeah, it's a huge day, and there most certainly will be more news, hopefully of the non-Gronk variety.
You know what? Gronk is cashing some checks in retirement, and one of those checks is from avocados from Mexico. What I thought was interesting is last year they had no Super Bowl commercial during the big game because they were focusing on college football, and this year it is all Gronk all the time. We saw it at IFPA's global show back in October. And then they officially launched some kind of AI chat bot where you're getting some responses from Gronk. I wonder if you can go ask him about um, him versus Kelsey.
Yes.
Right?
Are
What
you
would he?
okay with being the second greatest tight end in NFL history now? Hey, Gronk.
But you know what though? I think I can remember over my 20 years of covering the produce industry as a trade journalist, the price elasticity of demand for avocados definitely favors avocado producers, especially when it comes to and we've talked about this with other big holidays. Um, the big items, people tend to be less price sensitive about
Yes.
things that they are normally associating. And kudos to the avocado producers for positioning avocados as a must-have for Super Bowl, must have for entertaining, but especially Super Bowl. And that is a lot to do with what Avocados from Mexico has done with all of the advertising around the Super Bowl. So now, even if the prices are a little bit higher than we'd prefer them to be, people are still going to buy them.
They'll
So,
buy them. It's possible they might not buy as much as they have in previous years, but they certainly will buy them.
yeah,
We've seen that every year, and it looks like it's not going to be. I mean, there's still going to be a lot of avocados in the market, just not flooded, and honestly, probably better for them. Could even be better for retail because there's still going to be the demand, and it's going to be a higher price.
yeah. Hey, I mean, from the supply side of it, it's not a terrible thing. So, we also, this week in the news, it just seems like everybody's got a new CEO. Um,
January is a big time for getting new people and switching stuff out. End of the year is a rough time to hire and be looking for jobs. So I've heard.
you've heard. And more on that next week. So Titan Farms hired from within. Chalmers Carr's taking over as the chairman and CEO. So they've hired from within. Ross Williams is their new president. And then Fresh Direct Produce, that was the other thing. I'm sorry, I've skipped ahead. We're going to come back to that. Walmart Canada has a new CEO and chief operating officer. Grocery Outlet poached the CEO from the fresh market, which I think is really interesting because you could not have two different retailers. You could
Right.
not have two different retailers. Like the fresh market, when I shop at a fresh market, when I'm store checking, I'm going, who shops at this place? And in my brain, it goes, boomers without fixed incomes. And so to pick that CEO and take them to the opposite of grocery is really interesting. What kind of new ideas that is like how are they going to transition over there? And then the fresh market has a new CEO as well, and they hired from within someone who used to work at Brookshire's here in Texas, who has been with the fresh market for the past 5 years. Topco's got a new chief operating officer. I mean, it's just there are so many. And we
There
also
are.
saw a lot of mergers and acquisition activity.
And if any of our readers who read the Produce Reporter want to see a good collection of all the people items we have, we put a banner that says now connected. And you have to click on that, and that takes you to the people tab, and you can look at all the personnel moves. So a little insider tip for our subscribers.
And and also a plug for our Blue Book members because Blue Book is known for that little now connected, no longer connected thing and the weekly sheet or the daily sheet that we send out to our members. So if you're not a member, you get the insider scoop on who's now connected somewhere. And then when we find the newsy ones, we put them in the Produce Reporter as far as press releases go. But that's kind of connecting the whole thing together. So check out the Now Connected if you want to see all of those together. And then wrapping up this week, we saw two M&As. We saw Mr. Green's um, acquired in the Atlanta area to expand in that area. And then this is big news in Canada, and I'm sure this will be talked about at CPMA in Montreal. Fresh Direct sold Mike and Mike's back to Mike.
But just
So
one week.
yeah. So I thought that was really interesting. It was like just from the press release stuff, it's the strategic move supports Mike Fronte's desire to return to the organic business he co-founded in 2014. So, wow, super exciting. I'm sure we'll hear more about that from Montreal.
I hope so.
All right, well, that's it for the Produce Reporter Weekend Review. If you are not getting the Produce Reporter newsletter, you need to go to producebluebook.com and sign up.